You know, they say that old houses hold secrets, hidden ancient stories that the walls have witnessed but never shared. Well, my grandmother's Victorian mansion was no exception, and among the whispered secrets of that aging house, there was one that haunted my dreams for years, the cursed doll. My grandmother, a woman of peculiar taste, had an affinity for antique dolls. She collected them obsessively, each one more intricate and unsettling than the last. But there was one doll, in particular, that had earned a sinister reputation in our family, a porcelain nightmare with vacant eyes and crimson lips. It was said to be cursed, a vessel for a vengeful spirit. When Grandma passed away, the responsibility of sorting through her belongings fell to me. I remember the musty smell of the attic, the dust motes dancing in the dim light, and the sensation of being watched as I approached the doll collection. There she was, sitting in the corner atop a dusty trunk filled with old books and forgotten memories. Her porcelain face was pale, her eyes empty voids, and her lips curled into a malevolent grin. The moment I saw her, a chill ran down my spine, but the nostalgia and curiosity got the better of me. I decided to keep the doll. My family members tried to dissuade me, warning of the doll's dark history. They spoke of strange occurrences, whispers in the night, and the feeling of being watched. They claimed that the doll was a magnet for paranormal activity, but I was skeptical, brushing off their tales as superstitions. It wasn't until that fateful night when I realized the true nature of the cursed doll. The clock in my bedroom struck midnight, and I awoke to an unsettling sound, a soft, sinister laughter that sent shivers through my body. I sat up, rubbing my eyes, thinking it was a trick of the imagination. But then I saw her, the cursed doll on my nightstand, staring at me with those vacant, soulless eyes. My heart pounded as I watched in horror. The doll's porcelain limbs moved with a grotesque grace, her fingers contorting in ways that should have been impossible. Her lips, once eternally frozen in that wicked smile, now moved, forming words that sent icy tendrils of fear into my soul. "You shouldn't have taken me," she whispered, her voice a chilling, ethereal murmur. "Now you'll never escape." I tried to scream, but my voice was trapped in my throat. My limbs felt heavy, as if an invisible force were holding me down, rendering me powerless. Panic surged through me as the cursed doll continued to speak, revealing the darkness that dwelled within her. She spoke of past owners who had met tragic ends, their lives consumed by despair and madness. She described the torment she had witnessed, the malevolent spirit that inhabited her, and the insatiable hunger for souls that drove her existence. She threatened unspeakable horrors, promises of suffering and eternal torment. Tears streamed down my face as I struggled against the invisible chains that bound me to my bed. The room seemed to grow colder, the air thick with an otherworldly presence. The cursed doll leaned in closer, her porcelain face inches from mine, her eyes gleaming with malevolence. And then, with a suddenness that made my heart seize, she lunged at me. I felt her icy fingers around my throat, squeezing the life out of me. I gasped for breath, my vision darkening as I teetered on the edge of consciousness. But then, as quickly as it had begun, the torment ceased. The room filled with an eerie silence, and the cursed doll withdrew, her malevolent grin once again fixed in place. I lay there, gasping for breath, my body covered in cold sweat. The night seemed to stretch on forever as I lay there, paralyzed by fear. Dawn finally broke, and the first rays of sunlight bathed the room in a warm, reassuring glow. The cursed doll remained on my nightstand, but her presence had diminished. It was as if the darkness had retreated, at least for the moment. As the days turned into weeks, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Shadows danced at the corners of my vision. Whispers echoed through the walls, and the temperature in my room would plummet for no reason. The cursed doll had not left me. She had become a permanent, malevolent presence in my life. I knew I had to break the curse, to rid myself of this sinister doll and the vengeful spirit that dwelled within her. But how? The answer came to me in a chilling realization. I had to confront the doll's past, to uncover the secrets that bound her to this world, and break the curse that held her captive. My journey led me deep into the annals of my family's history, to long-forgotten tales of tragedy and betrayal. I pieced together the story of the doll's creation, a twisted ritual meant to bind a vengeful spirit to an innocent vessel. It was a sinister pact that had plagued my family for generations. Armed with this knowledge, I prepared to confront the cursed doll one final time. I lit candles, arranged protective symbols, and chanted ancient incantations. As I spoke the words, the room filled with a chilling energy, and the cursed doll began to tremble. With a final, desperate incantation, I shattered the porcelain vessel, releasing the malevolent spirit that had tormented my family for centuries. The room erupted in a blinding light, and the spirit let out a blood-curdling scream before vanishing into the ether. I was left exhausted, but I knew that the curse had been broken. The cursed doll was gone, her malevolence banished from this world. The room felt lighter, and I could finally breathe without the weight of fear and dread pressing down on me. The cursed doll had been defeated, and I had reclaimed my life. But the memory of those haunting nights, the sinister laughter, and the malevolent presence of the doll still lingers in the corners of my mind, a reminder that some curses are best left undisturbed. Let me take you back to the night when my world turned into a living nightmare. It started innocently enough. I had recently moved into a charming old apartment, and as I explored its nooks and crannies, I discovered an ornate, full-length mirror tucked away in a dusty corner of the attic. It was beautiful, its intricately carved frame holding a large, gleaming glass that reflected my image with an almost hypnotic allure. But there was more to this mirror than met the eye. The previous owner had left behind a note hidden among the attic's forgotten treasures, warning of its dark history. It was said to reveal the deepest, darkest secrets of those who dared to gaze into it. The note's author begged anyone who found it to rid themselves of the mirror immediately. I should have listened. Curiosity, however, has a way of clouding one's judgment. I decided to keep the mirror in my bedroom, thinking it was a quaint addition to my new home. I scoffed at the idea of it being cursed. Superstitions and ghost stories had never swayed me. One evening, as the clock ticked toward midnight, I found myself alone in my dimly lit bedroom, staring into the glass as I prepared for bed. The mirror's allure was undeniable, and I wondered if there was any truth to the old tales. Tentatively, I whispered, "Show me." At first, nothing happened. The reflection staring back at me was the same as ever, my tired face, the soft glow of lamplight casting eerie shadows. But then something shifted. My reflection began to change, its features contorting into something monstrous. My heart raced, and I tried to pull away, but I couldn't. My body was frozen, trapped before the cursed glass. The mirror revealed my inner demons, laying them bare for me to see. It showed me past sins, regrets, and choices I wished I could undo. It whispered prophecies of future misdeeds and the darkness that dwelled within my soul. It was as though my very essence was being dissected, judged, and condemned. I watched in horror as my reflection's malevolent grin widened. Its eyes gleamed with a cruel satisfaction, as if it took pleasure in my torment. The room seemed to grow colder, and the air thickened with an otherworldly presence. Panic surged through me, and I struggled to break free, to turn away from the cursed mirror. But my body remained rigid, my gaze locked with the grotesque figure in the glass. "You are not who you pretend to be," it hissed, its voice a chilling whisper that seemed to emanate from the mirror itself. "You hide behind a facade, but I see the truth." The mirror continued to reveal my darkest secrets, each revelation more painful and damning than the last. It showed me the lies I had told, the trust I had betrayed, and the hearts I had broken. I felt exposed, vulnerable, as though the very fabric of my being was unraveling before me. Hours passed, or perhaps it was mere minutes. Time seemed to lose all meaning in that nightmarish moment. My reflection taunted me, its malevolence growing with each revelation. I begged for release, for the torment to end, but the cursed mirror showed no mercy. Just when I thought I could bear it no longer, the room was filled with blinding light. It was an excruciating brightness, as if the very essence of the mirror was being torn apart. The cursed glass shattered, sending shards flying in all directions. I was thrown back, gasping for breath, my body free from the mirror's grasp. As my vision cleared, I saw a figure standing in the doorway, a hooded figure draped in a long, flowing robe that seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly radiance. It raised a hand, and with a flick of its fingers, the room was plunged into darkness once again. When the light returned, the cursed mirror was gone, shattered into 1,000 pieces. The figure in the doorway turned toward me, its face hidden beneath the hood of the robe, but I could feel its gaze, wise and ancient, piercing through me. "Who are you?" I managed to croak, my voice still trembling. "I am a guardian," it replied, its voice like a soothing melody. "I watch over those who are trapped in the realm between sleep and wakefulness, protecting them from the terrors that lurk in the shadows. I couldn't comprehend what had just happened. The Guardian had saved me from the cursed mirror, but why? And how? You were in great danger, the Guardian continued. These cursed mirrors are ancient relics bound to malevolent spirits. They feed on the fear of those who dare to gaze into them. But I sensed your distress and intervened. I nodded, still in shock. The room felt different now, lighter, as if the malevolent presence had been banished for good. Remember, the Guardian said, its voice fading as it moved toward the door. You are never truly alone in the dark. There are forces that protect, even when you cannot protect yourself. With those words, the figure vanished, leaving me alone in my room, shaken but alive. The cursed mirror was gone, and I had been spared from the horrors it had promised to reveal. But I can't forget that night, the malevolent grin, the chilling revelations, and the Guardian who saved me from the curse that dwelled within the glass. So, the next time you come across an old mirror with a dark history, think twice before you dare to gaze into it. You never know what secrets it might reveal or what malevolent spirits it might awaken. And remember, in the darkness, there are guardians who watch over us, ready to intervene when the terrors of the supernatural world threaten to consume us. Let me take you on a journey into a world where reality blurs with the supernatural, where a seemingly innocent board game can become a portal to terror. It all started one gloomy autumn afternoon. My friends, Sarah, Mike and Alex, and I had stumbled upon an old house nestled at the edge of town. The house had a history, a dark past whispered about in hushed tones by the locals. It was rumored to be haunted, cursed even, but our youthful curiosity got the better of us, and we decided to explore it. The creaky wooden floors, the dust-covered furniture, and the faded wallpaper gave the house an eerie, abandoned vibe. We moved through the rooms, excitement building with each discovery, a forgotten diary, ancient photographs, and a stack of old books. But it was in the attic that we found our prize, a dusty, weathered board game with the words, "The Shadows of Fate," embossed on its lead. The game looked ancient, its wooden pieces worn by time, and its instructions written in a language we couldn't quite decipher. It was unlike any board game we had ever seen, and the thrill of uncovering something so mysterious was irresistible. As the evening sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the attic windows, we decided to take our find downstairs and give it a try. It was a decision that would change our lives forever. Setting up the game felt like participating in a secret ritual. The board depicted a dark, foreboding landscape with intricate pathways that seemed to lead into the unknown. The wooden playing pieces were carved into the shapes of strange, otherworldly creatures, gargoyles, spectral figures, and twisted, clawed beasts. We began to play, each of us selecting a piece and rolling the dice. The rules were vague and the objective unclear, but as we moved our pieces along the winding paths, we felt a growing sense of unease. The air in the room seemed to grow heavier, and the flickering candlelight cast eerie, dancing shadows on the walls. As the game progressed, strange things began to happen. The room grew colder, and the atmosphere became charged with an eerie energy. The board seemed to come to life, the playing pieces moving on their own accord, as though guided by an invisible hand. We exchanged nervous glances, wondering if one of us was manipulating the pieces as a prank. But the fear in each other's eyes told a different story. We were all experiencing the same inexplicable phenomenon. The game began to take a sinister turn. It asked us questions, personal questions, probing into our deepest fears and regrets. The answers were revealed not through spoken words, but through the movements of the playing pieces. It was as though the game could read our minds, exposing our innermost secrets. As the questions delved deeper into our psyches, tensions rose, accusations and confessions spilled forth. Our vulnerabilities laid bare before one another. It was as if the game had stripped away our masks, revealing the true nature of our friendships. And then, the unthinkable happened. The room filled with an otherworldly presence, a chilling, disembodied voice that seemed to emanate from the very walls. It spoke in a language that we couldn't understand, its words a haunting, melodic chant that sent shivers down our spines. The playing pieces on the board began to move with purpose, converging on a central point. It was as if the game had taken on a life of its own, its pieces guided by an unseen force. The tension in the room reached a breaking point, and we knew that we had to end the game before it spiraled further out of control. but our attempts to stop were futile. The game had ensnared us in its supernatural grip, and we were powerless to break free. Desperation set in as we watched the board come to life before our eyes. With a final, chilling revelation, the game exposed a hidden truth. One of us was not who they appeared to be. The accusation hung in the air, a dark cloud of suspicion that threatened to tear our fragile friendship apart. As the tension reached its peak, the room was filled with blinding light, and the game let out a blood-curdling scream. It was an excruciating sound, as if the very essence of the game was being torn apart. The wooden pieces shattered into splinters, the board cracked, and the room was plunged into darkness once again. When the light returned, the game was gone. Its pieces scattered across the room. We were left shaken, our bonds tested, and our trust shattered. The supernatural ordeal had revealed truths and secrets that we had buried deep within ourselves, and it had left scars on our friendship that would never fully heal. As we left the house that night, we knew that we had ventured into a realm of darkness and danger, one that we should never have explored. The cursed board game had shown us the shadows of our own souls, and it was an experience we would never forget. So, the next time you come across an old mysterious board game, think twice before you decide to play. Some games are more than they appear, and they can lead you down a path of terror and revelation that you may never escape.